3 weeks after my daughter's engagement party, the event coordinator called me at 9:14 on a Monday morning. Her voice was shaking. "Mr. Whitaker," she said, "I recorded something terrible. Please come alone and do not tell your daughter." For a moment I thought she was calling about damaged decorations or an unpaid bill. Then she said, "What I heard was not about the party. My name is Martin Whitaker. I am 66 years old, retired from the fire department in Portland, Oregon, and until that phone call, I believed my daughter Elise was about to marry a good man. His name was Grant Holloway. He was charming, educated, always dressed well, the kind of man who remembered birthdays and brought flowers when he came over for dinner. He had a calm voice and a firm handshake. He called me sir the first time we met. And after my wife Nora passed away 6 years earlier, I will admit I wanted to like him. Elise was our only child. She was 31, worked as a physical therapist, and had spent too many years putting everyone else before herself. When Grant proposed, she called me crying so hard I could barely understand her. "He asked me at the coast, Dad," she said. "Mom would have loved it." That sentence got me, because Nora would have loved a wedding. She loved flowers, music, family photos, and the kind of ordinary happiness that makes a house feel full. So when Elise asked whether I would help pay for the engagement party, I said yes before she finished the question. The party was held at a restored event hall overlooking the Willamette River. There were strings of lights, white roses, a small jazz band, and enough food to feed everyone twice. I remember standing near the entrance that evening, watching Elise laugh with Grant under the lights. For the first time in years, she looked completely happy. That was why the event coordinator's call made my stomach turn. Her name was Tessa Monroe. She was in her early 40s, professional, organized, and the kind of person who noticed every empty glass and loose chair before anyone else did. When I arrived at the venue, she was waiting in a small office near the back hall. She locked the door behind me. "Thank you for coming," she said. "What happened?" She did not answer immediately. Instead, she placed her phone on the desk between us. "After the party, I was recording a voice note for the staff," she said. "There had been a problem with the caterer's delivery. I was walking past the storage corridor when I heard voices. I felt my chest tighten." "Whose voices?" Her eyes held mine. "Grant's and another man's." She pressed play. At first, all I heard was hallway noise, a door closing, ice shifting in a service cart. Then Grant's voice came through, clear, relaxed, almost amused. "You're overthinking it," he said. A second man laughed. I recognized him immediately. Grant's older brother, Derek. Then Grant said something I will remember for the rest of my life. "Elise is sweet. She trusts everyone. Once we're married, Martin will loosen up. He has no one else." My hands went cold. Derek asked, "And the house?" Grant gave a short laugh. "The house is worth more than he realizes. The land behind it, too. Elise said her mom left everything to her eventually." I stopped breathing. Tessa looked at me, but I lifted one hand. "Keep playing." The recording continued. Derek said, "You really think he'll sell?" Grant's voice lowered. "He will if Elise asks him. She doesn't know it yet, but she's the only way he'll listen." Then came the sentence that changed everything. "Once he signs the property into a family trust, we can use it as collateral. We clear the business debt, sell the house later, and nobody has to know where the money went." The recording ended. For several seconds, I could not move. I stared at Tessa's phone as if it might explain itself. My daughter's fiancé had not been talking about a future with her. He had been talking about a plan, and I was the obstacle standing between him and it. Now tell me honestly, would you have confronted Grant that same day? Or would you have stayed quiet long enough to find out how deep the lie went? Comment confront him if you would have called him immediately. Comment wait if you think proof matters more than anger. I did not confront him. Not because I was calm, because I was afraid. Afraid that if I showed Grant the recording too early, he would turn it around on Elise. He would call it a joke. He would say his brother misunderstood. He would make her believe I was trying to ruin her happiness because I could not let go. And the worst part, some small piece of me worried she might believe him. So I called my attorney. Her name was Miriam Shaw. She had handled Nora's estate after she died. When I played the recording for her, she sat quietly, then asked one question. "Has Grant ever asked about the property?" "Yes." "How?" I thought back. He had asked about the acreage behind my house. He had asked whether the land was zoned for development. He had asked whether Nora's inheritance had been placed in a trust. At the time, I thought he was making conversation. Now every question felt like a hand checking which doors were unlocked. Miriam reviewed my documents that afternoon. The house was mine. The land was mine. But Nora had left Elise a future interest in part of the property, something that would transfer only after my death. Grant knew enough to understand that. He also knew enough to believe he could pressure Elise into helping him reach it sooner. The next day, Miriam helped me make changes. I placed the house and land into a protected trust. Not because I wanted to punish Elise, because I wanted to keep someone from using her love as a weapon against her. Then I began watching. Grant came to dinner the following Friday. He brought wine. He complimented the garden. He asked whether I had ever considered downsizing. I watched him carefully. "You know," he said, "a place like this can become a burden as you get older." There it was, the same sentence he used on the recording. Not exactly, but close enough. I looked at Elise. She was smiling as she set plates on the table. She had no idea what was happening. No idea that the man she was planning to marry was measuring our home like a banker measures collateral. After dinner, Grant helped me carry dishes into the kitchen. Then he lowered his voice. "Mr. Whitaker, I hope you know Elise and I want you close to us after the wedding." I looked at him. "Do you?" He smiled. "Of course. Then why were you discussing my house with Derek at the engagement party?" The color disappeared from his face. He froze. For one second, I saw the real man underneath the polished suit and careful manners. Not love. Calculation. "What are you talking about?" he asked. I did not answer. I simply walked out of the kitchen. The next morning, Grant called me 6 times. I let every call ring. Then he texted, "You misunderstood something private." That was when I knew there was no misunderstanding, because innocent people ask what you heard. Guilty people call it private. 2 days later, Elise came to my house. She was upset. Grant had told her I was acting strange. He said I had accused him of things without proof. He told her grief had made me suspicious. I asked her to sit down. Then I handed her Tessa's phone. She listened to the recording once. Then again. The first time she looked confused. The second time she went still. By the end, her hand was covering her mouth. "Dad," she whispered, "he said that." "Yes." She stared at the floor. "He told me Derek was just helping him with his business." I nodded. Maybe he was. Her face broke. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just tears falling onto her hands as the truth finally settled in. She had not been loved for who she was. She had been targeted for what Grant thought she could access. That night, Elise called off the wedding. Grant came to my house the next morning. No flowers, no suit, no charm. Just anger. He stood on my porch demanding to speak with Elise. I told him she was not there. "You poisoned her against me," he said. I looked at him. "No, you did that yourself." Then he made a mistake. He said, "Do you have any idea what you just cost me?" There it was. Not "I love her." Not "I made a mistake." Not "Please let me explain." What did you cost me? I closed the door. 3 weeks later, we found out Grant's business was nearly $400,000 in debt. Derek had been helping him hide it from lenders. The house was not a dream home to them. It was an exit plan. Elise moved back into her old apartment for a while. She stopped wearing the ring. Some days she barely spoke. Other days she was angry at herself for not seeing it. But I reminded her of something Nora once told me. Trusting someone is not weakness. It only becomes dangerous when they decide to misuse it. Tessa came by the house one afternoon with flowers for Elise. She apologized for getting involved. Elise hugged her and said, "You didn't get involved, you saved me." That was the truth. Sometimes the person who changes your life is not family. Sometimes it is the stranger who chooses to tell you what everyone else hoped you would never hear. It has been 8 months now. The wedding never happened. Grant moved out of Oregon after his business collapsed. Elise is healing slowly. She started gardening again this spring. Nora would have liked that. Last weekend, Elise planted white roses along the fence behind my house, the same kind we had at her engagement party. She looked at me and said, "I thought losing the wedding would break me." I put my hand on her shoulder. And now, she smiled through tears, now I think it saved me. And that is what I learned from that phone call. Sometimes the worst thing you hear is not the thing that destroys your future. Sometimes it is the truth that finally protects it.